I do not like Forrest Whitaker, man. Has he just been doing the same thing forever? I saw the trailer, and, I'm like, okay, yes, contact. Oh, someone knows the language. Oh, wait, Forrest Whitaker needs her to translate something. We could be looking at a big, floating, black turd that has landed. At least that's what the billboards are saying to me. Goodbye.
Daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies do sci-fi.
Good morning.
Good evening. I'm George.
I'm Kevin.
Welcome to Busy Daddies Do Sci-Fi.
Seltzer review.
Seltzer review. This is a good one.
The seltzer?
It's a hint of lime.
It's a real hint of lime.
Yeah.
I almost thought that was leftover soap.
It's almost a little
from
too much.
You washing your dishes.
That might be.
That is leftover soap.
That might be. That's that glass, yeah.
Yeah. That's
the Kevin glass, we call that.
Yeah.
In the household.
Kevin's coming over.
Kevin's coming over, getting the special glass.
Get him his cup.
Wring that rag right into it, Jack. You've been taking the Star Wars trip, right?
We just watched the first one.
Okay.
There was technical difficulties on that CD.
Oh, damn it. All right. I was wondering.
But yeah, the boy and I watched the first Star Wars, and it went from he thinks Star Wars is a good movie. He somehow senses that Star Wars as a bandwagon type of thing is lame. Wow. And he's like, he does not like that everyone likes Star Wars.
There's got to be some...
It's just everyone, why is there a Star Wars birthday? It's Star Wars everything, man. I mean,
wow.
Fully commodified.
That's cool. He's already over it.
Well, that was kind of, I didn't know where he'd go. So he actually thinks it as a movie stands up. And so I want to watch 5 and 6 with him and then 7.
Yeah.
Which I think is well worth it.
Maybe he would take kind of your approach to it because you like those movies, but you're not all about Star Wars. You know what I like. I mean, I would say I'm a Star Wars nerd. Got into the expanded universe. Yeah, a little bit. Dig the toys and all that stuff still, and
Well, he has. We have all the '80s. My 80s toys he has in his arsenal. Why my mom let us unwrap them, I will never know. What a horrible mother.
Terrible, man.
I know.
Maybe they didn't know any better.
They know not what they do.
They know not what they do.
They know not what they do.
Just like a certain person. Kevin, have you ever arrived?
Oh. As far as I'm concerned, the Arrival episode is over.
Have you...
So, no, I just wanted to come out and say Arrival suck.
All right.
Arrival sucked, man.
Well,
so now work yourself out of that
This
corner.
isn't going to make any sense if you haven't seen the episode in which I say that Moon sucked, but...
Hold on. You're implying that we don't have a listenership?
All right.
No, listener,
hey,
you know exactly what we're talking about.
Frederick, if you have managed to get any other friends of yours to listen. Now,
Frederick.
I assume... Most of our listeners are named Frederick.
Frederick Hymenmaster?
I don't need another person stalking me, man. Now Dr. Hymenmaster is going to be following me home from work.
Because you made fun of his son.
I don't have a job.
Yeah.
I mean the park. That's my job. I was there today.
Yeah?
Yeah, with Charlie and Jack, man.
Charlie Sheen.
Jack got into
the first Arrival.
There we go. See, now that's a segue right there.
But no, what Charlie get into it? He punched.
No. Charlie's 3 months old. Jack
Don't.
Jack was playing with this kid at the park, and they got into some like running around, grabbing their own crotches, like yelling, like chasing girls.
Yeah.
While
Fucking
grabbing
bicycle.
their own.
He got fucking bicycled is what he did, man. Someone's doing cock grabs.
It was like you could see the formulation of the plan going down. It was like they both went into this little tunnel under the tree and discussed something, him and this other boy, and then 5 minutes later they came out holding their penises and yelling, just like laughing at the top of their lungs, chasing girls around. He's 4, dude.
And what about the other kid? How old is he?
He's 4 as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's seen some.
I thought we had like 6 years.
Have parental safety on those internet searches that kid's doing.
Seriously.
There is a phenomenon called Forrest Playboy, by the way.
That's not a phenomenon. That's real. Phenomenon that denotes some level of unreality. Lack
Are
of
you
reality.
fucking kidding me?
What?
Are you kidding me?
What?
Just don't.
Am I wrong?
Don't look it up.
I can't
Whatever
look
you
it up.
do,
We
don't
can't,
look it up.
Am I wrong? Isn't phenomenon like a once in a like that? It's a phenomenon. It's a flash in the pan, right? Or no? I'm being serious. Educate me.
Educate me.
Like ESP is a phenomenon, right?
Bigfoot's a phenomenon.
Yeah.
So it happens more than once that he's sighted. And so every once in a while, in different parts of the country, porn is found by children in the woods.
It's a phenomenon.
It's a phenomenon.
It's just like Bigfoot, man.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Bigfoot,
Kevin, did you see the spaceship he landed in?
Have you ever arrived
at a conclusion? Are you trying to get to the fact that we're going to talk about Arrival? Arrival's done. This is the anti-Arrival episode. There's nothing to say about it. There's nothing to say about it.
Well, we have to talk about Arrival and the story on which it's based.
It's
story of your life.
Look, here's what happened. Does everyone who watched Arrival, have they enjoyed it?
Yeah.
That you talked to? It's a great movie.
It's a great, well...
I don't have the same stock.
No, I know.
Don't say it sucked, George. That would be awkward.
It didn't suck. But since we have both read the source material and seen the movie on which it's based, I think you could certainly compare and contrast what they needed to add to the movie to make it a movie, what might not have worked.
I smell the ghost of Tarkovsky creeping up your stairways again.
There are certainly some things to be... Here's what happened with me, and we talked about this quickly, and then you told me to shut the fuck up.
Well,
I read the short story, and like 4 hours later, I went and saw the movie.
Yeah.
And
I went the day after reading it.
I actually think that did me a little bit of a disservice.
It would.
Because I was so jazzed by the short story and the ideas presented in it, that to then go see the movie, some of the stuff seemed a little ham-fisted that they added, like the tension between nations, we are here to help humanity, hey, how else are you guys all gonna finally talk to each other? Some of that stuff I was like, oh no, I get that they had to do that. I get that. They had to do it. They had to make it tense and they had to make it a movie. They had to blow up this, 30-something page story. But it left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth just because I loved how kind of original and cool just the short story was. But fully recognize they couldn't have just told that story in and of itself.
I was blessed with a scarcity of cynicism, and it didn't. I thought it was going to be heavy-handed. I was like, great, Forrest Whitaker in Fatigue.
Yeah, you rolled into that with some preconceived.
And he was actually not your. He wasn't. He was a really understanding and all right, go for it, kind of military man, which was refreshing.
Yeah.
And so my biggest that gift I have of imagining the conclusion of things, it was off. Usually quite accurate.
Well,
So I didn't. I knew global. It's they had a CIA guy, and so you're like, where this guy's going to stand. But even he wasn't totally cookie cutter.
That's what I like.
He had some
didn't give like Forrest Whitaker. I feel like the usual turns that character would make in a worse movie. Be that stick in the mud that's like, no, this is the United States, or that's not according to the Constitution, or some bullshit like that. Instead, he was very, very understanding and very he was working with her and realized what was at stake and everything. It was more things like the Chinese general and
there was a point when I went, wow, man, I guess we're calling China fucked up. Collectively, I was like, well, I guess when you deal with real things, you got to pick someone to be a bad guy, and Cambodia is just not a player of nations anymore.
This is how you will react, China.
Yeah. But what a cool turn. My experience with reading the story was like this, and we can stop recording after this because this ends the podcast.
This is it.
Yeah. But for one to read the story,
not modest at all. Go ahead.
No, it's what's going to be weird is I'm going to finish saying what I'm saying. It's going to be quiet for a bit, and you're going to hear the end credit music roll, listener, and you'll know. Crickets.
Go.
Crickets. Go?
Go.
The suspense is killing you. You can tell.
And they're bubbling over here.
Yeah, that's your seltzer.
That is my seltzer.
Thank you, Vic. So, when one reads a story about how a language and its acquisition then changes your relationship to the time stream, so that from linear you go to omniscient, then if one reads the story that explains that the character is going to gain the power to see time differently and knows the beginning and end, then you, having read the story, go into the movie about the acquisition of language, knowing the beginning to end. And it worked on me as if I had learned the Heptapod language, because I was able to watch the movie spoiled, if you will, because they did stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had this meta experience where I felt that I was given what she gained by learning the language while I watched it.
That is very cool.
Thank you, listener. Yeah.
And don't forget to tip your waitress.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That is Kevin. He'll be here all week. I wonder if that's a shared sentiment. That's pretty intuitive, and I dig that. I have heard the opposite. I have heard people go into this movie fresh, and this is another thing about.
You mean without reading the
story?
story?
Without reading the story, and know immediately. Oh well, this is the future. She's gonna. They're not showing the dad's face. That's clearly gonna be Jeremy Renner. Like that people have gone in thinking it was completely obvious. Especially with her opening crawl talking about how I don't know when the beginning and when the end is anymore. And they show, and throughout the rest of the movie, there's really no mention made of a previous relationship, which there shouldn't be because it hasn't happened yet. But I've read people gone in and said, you'd have to be stupid to not get.
But is that not a tip of the hat to the adaptation? Because you can experience the reading of that story and not go, oh, wow, I just figured it out.
Well,
as a matter of fact, you're told.
And does that
even, my point.
Does that even matter? Does it even matter if you go in and go?
I think when you take this into the realm of, I'm 15 minutes into the next X-Men, and I got it. Might be not right because the stories might be known to you guys who know that stuff, but when you figure it out, in 15 minutes, that's usually a criticism, right? Like, I got it.
I guess it would. I guess the criticism would be, and this is I'm stating this abstractly, not this something that I agree with. Criticism would be it's a failure on behalf of the filmmaker since it's supposed to be some sort of a revelation.
I don't know, or it's a success because it's not a revelation in the story.
Oh, it certainly is.
That what?
It's a revelation.
You didn't get that. I mean, think of the syntax. Think of the tense of the story.
Yeah.
I'll remember you'll be brushing your hair.
Yeah.
Did you go back a couple times and read that to make sure you were reading it right in the first couple pages?
No, I didn't.
Because I was sitting there going, okay, what are we doing with time? Oh,
no, I took it completely straightforward. I mean, I did not... I assumed, as I'm reading this, we are...
With the first line is, let's make a baby.
Yeah.
So by the time you get the physicist, you didn't get it?
I didn't get it until the end when they reveal that they connect. That's like let's make a baby is let's make a baby. I took it as revelatory. I think a lot of other people did too. Yeah.
I don't know. That was
because
the story,
the whole story is that you are basically. I was reading it and assuming her relationship and this baby all happened in the past. What we're reading right now is happening in the present. And then at the end, when the Heptapod language has been more fully developed within her, and you see what's becoming of it, it was only then that I was like, oh, okay, so this is, and then boom, let's make a baby. I took it as revelation and not so much an immediate understanding, and definitely not like...
She has had the revelation when you begin reading it.
She has had the revelation...
It's all occurred. She can only tell you that story because the language is in her.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. No, I got that. I got the
pretty
stream of the character, but I mean, as the reader, no, I took it as it was revealed to me.
That it was the physicist?
No. Not that they were the same person, but that she was now able to see... into the future and be able to see the entirety of her life. That was the revelation, not the revelation that they were the same person.
No, we.
Oh, we're talking about. Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about the fact that
people are predicting that it'll be Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. But no, I didn't see that happening either.
But I did, and so it didn't disturb me. There was no. I was relieved. The scarcity of cynicism was what I called it. And I don't know. I think it was timing. I don't know that if you give me a 30-page short story and you show me the movie the next day, if I experience this over and over again, to me it had to do with the nature of the time shift. So it was a pretty singular experience like that.
I mean, I cried during this movie. There are moments as a father... I got the chokies.
The feels, as the kids call it.
Yeah, the kids call it the feels. I don't get that.
Yeah. Oh, I think
feels.
that's...
All the feels.
I think that's...
We're not supposed to, right? I mean, I'm not supposed to get that.
You're not supposed to get that. No, it's just it's a national psyche callousing over.
Lit.
Yeah.
Everything is lit nowadays.
Is it lit?
Yeah, things are lit.
Is Arrival lit?
Arrival is fully lit. Man.
Lit.
Not, it's literature. That's good. That's not what it means.
No, and I didn't even think it did.
But as a dad, I thought the what was captured with her daughter was amazing, and it spoke to for me a very personal aspect of my life, in that if you could see your life fully lived, and the idea being that it was deterministic. Like, these things were going to happen. Like, these were not the choices she was making. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she mentions in the movie at one point making the choice. I felt like the story was a little bit more concrete. Like, no, this is set. This is your path. Like, your daughter will die in a rock climbing accident. And that is set the moment you make her. And now are you going to live this life? You know, whereas the movie actually mentions that they got a divorce because she made the wrong choice. and the choice being, do you want to make a baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I loved that whole concept of just like, if you could see the entirety of your life, what would you still want to live it?
So basically, the Heptapods were the ghost of Christmas future.
Yeah.
Ho ho.
What did you
ho,
think,
man?
of the Heptapods in the movie?
I liked them. They were awesome.
They were simple and cool. They
Yeah.
were just because I love the description in the book, and in the story you get a little bit more of like I got not so much a mechanical feel, but you get a feeling that there's a space maybe between them. They say something about like their top floating and they had 7 eyes.
Kind of, yeah.
And they're just fully kind of like 1950s squid sci-fi monsters in the movie. I love that design. And everything was really simple. All the tech was cool. Like, it was just, the ships looked like giant, like, ocean-worn rocks.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool.
Yeah.
So,
It's arrived.
if it has arrived, my friend saw the movie and then read the book because she heard that vice versa people were having like.
Are people doing both?
Yeah,
Is
people
that
are doing
what's
both.
happening on this one? That's cool.
Most of the reviews I have read have pointed out you should read this short story. 1, if you're at all confused. 2, if you're seeking more about this story. The one thing that I didn't see from the movie, which a lot of sci-fi sites, a lot of reviews have glommed onto, is this movie as a metaphor for the state of America right now. That these aliens...
I wonder what people in this country would be
show up
projecting
and
on anything like that.
I don't know, it's not like something big just happened. But
Yeah.
I obviously I don't know, I don't think that was the intention, especially considering how close they really
That's bullshit.
they stuck really
That's
close
bullshit.
to the source material.
When was the story written?
I have no idea. Like, I want to say 19.
Yeah. Pre-Trump economy, I'll tell you that much, god damn it.
Hey, we don't get political here.
Pre-2001.
Busy Daddies
11?
Do Sci-Fi. 2001, 11?
Yeah.
We
don't get political.
No, it's
No.
all good.
Yeah, everything's great, man.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Doesn't matter.
Not in my backyard. It doesn't.
Not in my back. NIMBY.
Not NIMBY, baby.
NIMBY.
Yeah.
George Carlin, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I first heard that from the eco-terrorist that were my fellow students in Bar Harbor, Maine.
Oh,
the freak out hippie college
I
went
heard
to.
it early 90s in a George Carlin comedy special. He said that he was talking about how in this country we have a saying called NIMBY, not in my backyard,
Mm-hmm.
that say you want to do something, you want to build a prison, not in my backyard.
Yeah.
You want to build like a halfway house, maybe a homeless shelter, not in my backyard.
Mm-hmm. But here in Highland Park,
You build it right in my
it
backyard.
is a homeless shelter.
It's your fucking backyard.
You should see some of the stuff
got
George has
no-
seen in the bathrooms at the park in the morning.
You've got no control over
Yeah.
it.
Nothing says love like, hey, let's wash our socks in the sink after this.
Come on over,
Yeah.
man.
Hey,
What are you
man,
doing? Setting up-
got a bottle of Tide.
Setting up a kid's birthday party? You got a bottle of Tide? That'll buy you 20 minutes. Tide is actually a legitimate currency. Like, you can buy drugs with Tide because it's so popular.
But not to like you couldn't do it with just detergent. Like
Tide.
So
It's
I go
gotta be
buy Tide with my food stamp cards
Yeah.
or whatever.
Or steal it.
and then trade it in.
Like,
Stealing Tide.
You steal a box of Tide, you can, in certain hoods, I guess. I
in
don't know.
America?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You can go and buy drugs, you can buy food, you can buy, it's like, hey man, I got Tide. There's an agreed upon currency.
I want to see someone do that.
Yeah. I want to see you do that.
Yeah.
I got
Can
some
you
Tide.
imagine? Holy
What's up?
shit.
I got some Tide, guys.
Wow.
It's a nice hat, Kevin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
Arrival.
still going.
Yep.
And that's, it was just a nice experience, from reading a story to watching it go on the screen to not having to be like, man, they screwed that up, or not be spared hating on it.
There wasn't enough for them, I feel like, to screw up. You know what I mean? It was the short story. I texted you immediately and just said that was awesome, because that was my first genuine reaction. It kind of blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still stuck on this whole, now I feel like I missed something.
What?
Because I read the story, and it was certainly, to me, a reveal that this language had changed her perception so that she could now see time. You know, like, I didn't get that initially. I took it as, oh, we're reading the present, this is a flashback. We're reading the present, this is a flashback. We're reading the present, this is a flashback. You know? And yeah, the language was speaking in a way of, but I figured,
that was the clue.
Yeah. The clue was the way
that's
she was
a major
about
fucking thing, too. I mean, you don't
I
just
figured
write
there'd
like
be
that.
something to culminate, you know, there'd be some culmination of why she's talking like this. But I didn't immediately go, or I did, I guess, go, oh, well, something's going on with time here. But I didn't immediately go, oh, she knows this is going on, and this, you know, like, it wasn't completely apparent to me. And that's why I'm kind of saying, anyone who has that criticism going into the movie that goes, oh, well, dude, I'm 20 minutes in, and this is clearly all going to happen in her future, because she's a young professor, and here's Jeremy Renner, and he's the only guy in the picture, so he's going to end up being the husband and the father, that doesn't matter. It's still, you go in, and if you go in and go, well, this movie sucks because of that, you're sort of cheating yourself.
Well, and so knowing that they were in a relationship, like, there was a point when they could have, like, kissed on the mouth, and they hugged instead.
Yeah.
And it
I
was
love
that kind of stuff, because you're like, this is where you could, like the Forrest Whitaker, he could be the American stick in the mud. They could make out right now, but you don't need it like that.
Yeah.
And there's something, I think it's a
that.
testimony to the writing, and I'd love to know how much Ted Chiang was involved in this process. The leader of China was Chiang, spelled like his last name. So
there is an actress in it named Chiang, spelled like his name too. So I'm wondering if that is just a comment. Is it Ted or Peter Chiang? It's Ted. So it's like,
I like Peter Chiang better, man.
Are you sure it's not Peter?
I know it's Ted.
Are you familiar with him? Like,
no, I'm not.
But
his pace, he's like kind of like every couple years he writes an award-winning short story.
This was collected in a book called Story of Your Life and Others. I've only read Story of Your Life so far.
I wonder if Others is good.
Wonder if Others, I bet that's the better one.
Isn't that already been made into a movie?
Yeah, it's got Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner in it too.
Isn't there a
Others?
Isn't there a Costner kind of Others, or is that Shyamalan?
Others is isn't that a Julianne Moore alien flick? The Others?
I don't know. Ask Ted Chiang.
Wow. This movie, I had been calling it The Arrival for quite some time. Like, I had told friends, like, I'm going to see The Arrival.
And they're like, of what?
Oh, The Arrival
The
is
Goodyear Blimp.
that Charlie Sheen movie from like 1990,
which is a first contact alien movie with the C-bomb?
Not a global first contact. Not like aliens show up and it's aliens have been here for a little while. Martians, I believe. No, never mind. My aliens have been here for a little while. They can impersonate humans and have infiltrated government, corporations, and they are trying to exterminate humanity so that they can take over the planet, because we can't take care of Earth anymore. So they're trying to.
Well, that reminds me of some of the things that weren't in the story that I found fascinating. Because of the Heptapod's relationship, the time they knew they had to come to Earth and give their language to Earth, because they knew Earth would have to help them in 3,000 years.
Yes. And I love the description of it being ceremonial Like they communicate almost like we go to weddings and it doesn't count until someone says I do. You know, like that's why they go through the motions of it.
I don't recall that.
Even though it's like, why talk to us if it's all going to happen? They talk about how it's more of like play acting and more ceremonial for them than anything else, you know.
And I also wanted to know what it would look like once that language took hold, like 1,000 years from now, if we all saw the time stream that way, what our place would look like.
That sounds almost a little depressing.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I don't either. But imagine living in a society where you know every single thing that's ever going to happen.
I mean, imagine you'd make leaps. Like, you probably would have done stuff with time and travel.
I mean, what's her name? Louise?
I mean, who knows? This is a predicating event that makes them able to help that group in 3,000 years. And those guys were pretty sophisticated. I loved how the ships disappeared.
I did too.
That was pretty awesome. Because it's such a solid stone, then it goes to an air symbol.
Yes. And the idea of we needed to come here, give you this language so you could help us in 3,000 years. We see a microcosm of that when Louise is talking to the Chinese general, and he gives her the information that she will need in order to stop him from acting aggressively against the aliens. Like that, I thought was a really cool turn that wasn't in the story.
So I didn't catch that. She calls and tells him the words that he speaks to her at the ceremony. So at the same time he says, you called me 9 years ago, he also tells her the words because it's happening on a not linear way.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very cool.
Very cool. Very cool. And again, like a cheat they made that connected the dots a little faster that wasn't in the original story. Because the whole international crisis really wasn't in the short. In the short, like they go away in a there's the trade that they talk about,
which turned out to be a tech that another country had already kind of figured out.
Yeah, I love that. I love that they're like there's no value to the aliens have no value in these things. It's more, again, ceremonial. It's a way of communicating, a way of just like continuing this process, and then they just eventually disappear. You know, like they just go away. That's awesome.
And really so they make her write a book about the language in the movie, which is not in the short story, and I guess everyone's supposed to learn it and then get turned on, man.
Yeah, and then just little differences in the movie. Her daughter dies of cancer or some disease.
Yeah, which was harsh to watch, and I really, there's something about the short story and the dying in the wild. That's almost like a literature move. It reminded me, it tasted like American short stories.
Well, there's a fantastic dream sequence she has in the short story where she's climbing the rock and her daughter is in a satchel, is in like a carry-all, a baby Bjorn, and is wiggling her way out, and she can't grab her, and that I remember really hitting home to me. But everything in the movie connected much more with me as far as the parent relationship goes, like seeing the interactions with her daughter, just the way it was shot. This director, I can't pronounce his last name. It's Villenueve, but
Tarkovsky.
Yes. It's Villenueve, I believe it is. He directed Sicario last year, which I did not see, but I've heard it was amazing. He's just it was really cool, the decisions he made, the physics when they go on the ship and them looking down, and gravity having changed. Like that would be. There didn't need to be this like massive special effect. They're in this rock corridor and they look down and gravity is different 200 feet down from them. You know, they are standing on completely different planes, and that alone was enough to kind of convey how different this is. I think Jeremy Renner even just looks down and goes, "Holy shit!" It's just really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of stuff pushed it along.
Yeah. What? Oh, the soldiers that decide to that's the one thing that really just kind of bugged me.
And luckily it went away.
It went away quick, yeah. But I was like,
didn't.
why are we doing this? Oh, come on. You know. But
well, there had to be some tension, right?
yeah.
But I knew as soon as I was like, this guy's gonna cause trouble.
Yeah, it was
It was
the
kind of
telegraph.
hard because it got in my way. I had to isolate it and go, I gotta wait
Yeah.
for him to cause trouble. I know this doesn't end at all.
It was the
But I
telegraph
wait.
nature of it. That was because they go. I mean, it's like Hunt for Red October when they show the cook. You know, it's like something like
I don't know
that.
the reference.
It's fine. A lot of people out there do. It's here's this
you mean
guy.
so it's like Jump the Shark? It's like Show the Cook.
It's like Show the Cook. It's this guy, single on him, and he
Is
looks to someone else.
Did any listeners
No.
chime in on the whole? I know exactly what you're talking about, George. When they show Moscow and it goes dum dum dum.
No.
Did that?
Nobody did,
'Cause
but somebody did chime in about how much Moon sucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did.
Wait, what did he say?
Okay, and
Woo! God damn, dude, that guy wrote like 5,000 words. That took like 11
I know.
minutes to read.
Let me
dude.
just let
Jesus.
me get to the summation of it.
Is this from our friends at Reddit?
This is our friends
not,
at Reddit.
Not that we're sponsored by Reddit or
Um,
anything.
We were talking. Hey, that'd be pretty sweet. They're owned by Condé Nast.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We just did it.
We just did it.
We just did it.
Proud-
Reddit, thank you. Thank you, man.
Sponsors of Busy
Yes.
Daddies Do Sci-Fi.
God damn, finally. I knew that whole Reddit sour taste in our mouth would turn out to be beneficial in the end.
It's Ray Kerr, the Reddit user, says Moon sucks because it's not believable. The acting is decent, it's beautifully shot and quite atmospheric, but the premise that we'd use human clones to do that work is silly. At that unspecified point in the future, the work would all be fully automated, carried out by machines that don't need air, food, or water.
That 16-year-old is smart.
This guy's my best friend.
That 16-year-old is... Dude,
Best
he's
friend.
probably going to write some pretty good papers with not so much plagiarism.
That guy right there.
Yeah,
Not so much.
It'd be weird,
plagiarism.
yeah. You know, what a wonderful story you would have written about robots
You know what's funny?
mining on the fucking moon. Okay, yeah.
I believe that's Sam Rockwell's username.
I think it is,
that is.
man.
He's a-
No, that's Sammy Rock.
Sammy
the guy
Rock.
below who
Oh.
says this movie's actually really done well.
Oh,
Sammy
well.
Rock, Reddit
Maybe
listener.
it's Sammy Rock. Well,
Sammy Rock.
well, the jury's still out on whether or not Moon sucks or not.
Sucks rocks. Hey!
Moon rocks. That's lit.
Yeah, dude.
Arrival. Almost did it again. Almost said The Arrival. Arrival does not suck, man. Arrival was actually a beautiful
But
movie.
you know this, which is why I think Vic was right. This episode, in the can for rating. It's going to pan, dude.
Oh, yeah,
No
this is the
tension.
one?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
we didn't disagree? I can
No,
spin
because
it.
Arrival's passe. Everyone loved it, man. Trump
Dude,
won.
90
Arrival comes out. Everyone's okay again.
93% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm actually surprised how many people did enjoy this movie.
It was right there.
Because I thought it would be one of those ones that slips through, nobody really talks about it, and then it shows up on Netflix and me and you review it in a year.
Wait, you didn't know this was just straight.
I didn't know anything about this movie, man.
That's what relieved me about it being a short story, and the short story being so well, because I thought we were going to be talking about a piece of shit.
I kind of did too.
I was like, what the fuck can they do?
I didn't know anything about this movie.
And it
going
was
into
really nice. It really revived my hope that movies like Arrival and Moon and others are going to rise to the top.
I mean,
Even
it
though
makes complete
Sammy Rock
sense.
says-
Like, what, a really, really quality short story, surprisingly, gets developed into a really quality movie. I can't wait for Ready Player One to come out.
Oh, God.
I think that's actually dead in the water, man. I don't think that's coming out. I don't think that's happening. It's
Ernie.
been talked about.
Ernie
so much.
Klein.
Ernie Klein.
Long before we got a true shit list, he might be the guy that was digging up your rose bushes.
He's like I think he's the ringleader. He's like the Lex Luthor that's sending out
this whole
Jennifer Fang. Go get him. He's just sitting on
he's
this
a
throne.
Texas dude, man.
dude?
Yeah, he's got a little barbecue sauce on both the corners of his mouth.
He wants you to think he's a good old boy. No.
Ernie Klein. You
guy's an evil mastermind.
So what else is going on, man? I'm reading Pattern Recognition. I finished the 3-body problem. And
I know you might not want to hear it, but we got Star Wars Rogue One on the horizon, man.
You're not even allowed to talk about Star Wars on this podcast.
We're talking about Star Wars.
What would you do that for?
That shit is sci-fi.
I don't care.
Why don't you care?
Because it's totally commodified. I was talking to my 6-year-old about it. He told me some cool stuff I didn't know about it. Everyone's into it, man. It's done.
What exactly
like
does commodified mean? Oh, you mean phenomenon? Is that what you mean?
There's a phenomenon that occurs.
Yeah.
It's called commodification. We take the thing you like and we make it viable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it bad.
No.
You're saying it cheapens it a little bit. Seeing Chewbacca and Darth Vader dance at Disneyland kind of cheapens the idea of Star Wars?
I don't know. I believe we're right on course. I don't know if that's a value judgment or not.
Well, of course.
I mean, what's the mission statement?
This whole thing is deterministic. We both speak Heptapod. We
Yes.
know where we're going.
How many podcasters have done that? Everyone I've listened to about Arrival. Yeah.
But you know what's more impressive is that we both blew black smoke out of our hands while we were doing it.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Now we burned all the toilet paper in your house.
Oh, well.
And your wife's going to be pissed.
Hey, I just got a 12-pack.
Nah, man. It doesn't cheapen it. It's just where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're right where we're supposed to be. With all the shit that's happening.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Lit. Alright, thanks for listening. You can subscribe to Busy Daddies Do Sci-Fi on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you listen, please take the time to rate and review. Reviews keep us on the charts, and that way people can find us. You can follow us at BDD Sci-Fi on Twitter and Instagram, or if you want to learn more about the Busy Daddies, check out bddsci-fi.com. Thanks for listening, and see you every other Wednesday.